Hi everyone. So today, please welcome Scott Anderson here to Get Unstuck Radio. Scott Anderson is a serial entrepreneur, a licensed mental health therapist, a founder and CEO of Doubledare, an executive coaching and consulting practice which dares entrepreneurs and executives to fully live their unique talent, passion, and purpose. Thank you so much for joining today of Get Unstuck Radio, Scott.
Thank you so much for having me, Mutita. It's great to see you and really glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited because I think we share the same value. Like I always tell the guests here that my Get Unstuck Radio and the whole Get Unstuck family, we really support the business that support our lifestyle, not the other way around, right? And you just
Yes.
exactly like
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And having been stuck several times as a entrepreneur myself, as well as coaching people who get stuck, I really think your vision of helping people is right on.
that. Appreciate you. So let me read this quote in your book. So anyone who interested in Scott's book, you can check in the description. There will be the link over there, but I really love this one. So commitment isn't just essential. It's really the thing that ensures your success. When employed 100%, it literally converts the impossible into a sure thing. I mean, that's amazing. I'm like, wow. Everyone
Yeah.
needs to hear that right now in this like
Yes.
time.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you for reading that. Thank you for doing that research on my book. Um, Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you have this experience, but one of the main reasons that I'm a coach and also a therapist is that I get to see clients do what for them was formerly impossible. And I mean, I guide them, I provide a structure and a system, but, at the end of the day, they find it in themselves again. And so much of being unstuck is to realize I can do this. I don't have to sort of wait for the world to give me permission to do this. And I don't have to wait even until I'm confident or positive. Um, I had a conversation with a client the other day who said, well, when I feel like I can do this, I'll do this. And I said, that day will never come. It just will never come. You have the feeling that you're of confidence that you can do something after you do it, never before.
Yeah.
And, and anyway, so yes, yeah, we're definitely on the same page there.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I also just spoke to like coaching client that I was a guest coach like last Friday. I see someone who have been saying, I'm gonna do this, and then he keep postponing. I think it's like
Yes,
over stress and the anxiety period that people like focus too much on the future and just forget
yes,
whatever it takes for here to get there. They not really
yes,
understand that. So
that's right.
let's starting from you. How your entrepreneurial journey started?
Sure. Well, I'm one of those people, like a lot of entrepreneurs I work with, where I was just always from a young age coming up with ways to have businesses. And my earliest one was when I was like, I don't know, 6 or 7, going around the neighborhood shining shoes. And I thought that would be a great idea. It turns out that, as you said about websites and so forth, people are very picky about how their shoes are shined. And, and at 6 or 7, I wasn't very good at it. And so I was getting customer complaints. My quality assurance was not good. My systems were not good. My prices were too low, and my quality was also too low. And anyway, that was my first business. And since then, I've done, even as a kid, all kinds of different businesses leading up to this. My father was an entrepreneur. His father was an entrepreneur. My mother's father was an entrepreneur, and it goes. So there's probably something in the genes, that. And I think also growing up in that environment, it can be a very up and down kind of scary environment on the one hand, which is not necessarily good. But I think that my family has always sort of felt like it was safer to control your own destiny than to put your destiny in the hands of someone who you don't really know, and who may not be any smarter than you are. And anyway, that's how I got here.
Wow. And what did you like transform, or how you say it, like pivot from being the therapist into the coaching industry, or you do it together along the way?
Actually, the other way around.
Oh,
I've started 9 businesses. In fact, just started the 9th one with my son,
wow.
a e-commerce business recently. And a couple of these were colossal flops. I mean, most of them, thankfully, have been successful. I've been able to sell them, and they've been good businesses. But so anyway, I was running my probably my biggest single business, an advertising agency, and midway through that, I experienced burnout myself. About maybe 10 years into the business, 15 years into the business, I experienced tremendous burnout. The business itself was great. I had fantastic partners who really were making the whole thing happen. And, but I myself burned out, and I hired a coach kind of at random. And this is before coaches were sort of where people were more familiar with the concept um, as they are today. But at the time, coaching was sort of a unknown, mystical idea, and not a lot of people had coaches. I heard about it, hired a guy more or less at random, was very fortunate. It was fantastic. And in just 90 days, he really turned well, I turned with his guidance, my life around in a lot of important ways. One of them was the discovery that I wanted to be a coach myself because I saw what it had done for me.
Mhm.
But another part of the discovery was that I wanted to create a nonprofit to treat military families in the United States who are recovering from post-traumatic stress disorder, who are returning from Iraq and Afghanistan with post-traumatic stress disorder. So I created an organization called At Ease USA, which is a treatment technology accelerator and clinic system for treating military families, not just the combatant, but the whole family. And as the more I got into that, the more I realized I needed to know more about the science of psychology. And so that's when I became a therapist. I actually went back to school at age 50 or age 53, I think, to become to get a graduate degree in clinical counseling. So that's how I became a therapist, actually kind of late in life, to help me run the not-for-profit. And then that led ultimately to me taking my own clients. But originally it was just to make me a better steward of the money we were raising and the program we were building.
So, how do you feel it's important to understand the mental side of the human being to support
Yes.
your business line?
Yeah. Great question. Um, you know, uh, I guess even before I went to graduate school, I realized, and I had been originally coached this way, that ideally coaching is a mind, body, spirit process. And that it's just as you said earlier, there are clients who know what to do, but don't do it for some reason. And, so the assignments or the homework that they commit to is not necessarily rocket science. We chunk things down into manageable actions that we can take every day. That part is not, the theory of relativity. The hard part is between our ears. And that's the difference really between success and failure. I have found it's not so much the techniques and the steps, although that's obviously important, but it's really finding uh, getting traction in your own mind and being able to execute on relatively simple tasks. So yeah, I would say that 95% of coaching and 90% of business success is mindset. It certainly helps if you're a genius like Warren Buffett, let's say, or Bill Gates. That certainly helps you. But if for some reason either of those guys couldn't execute, if they were confounded by the gremlins in their mind, then none of the great things they achieved would have been achieved. So yeah, I'd say it's mindset is really most of what we do, whether we call it that or not.
Mm-hmm. So, For yourself, do you still experience the ups and downs throughout your entrepreneur journey and how you deal with it?
Great question. Yeah, because it's all ups and downs. I mean, all of life is ups and downs, really, and much less our entrepreneurial journey. And yeah, I think that's so important. The one of the buzzwords today in business literature is about resilience, and um, it implies, I think, that there are certain personalities that are just sort of tougher than others. My experience is that it's not so much being tough, because actually I have lots of clients who are very tough but who are experiencing severe burnout right now. It's more a question of accepting the fact that there will be ups and downs,
Mm,
that these shouldn't come as surprises. The main thing is not to let ups and downs, which are inevitable, that will happen to everybody, not trigger a whole narrative in our minds that is much worse. What happens isn't, is predictable, normal, and natural for people in business, and it happens to everybody. So it's not the ups and downs; it's how we think about the ups and downs that make them either debilitating and paralyzing, or just one more thing to get past. So a lot of the work that I do is to work with my clients in terms of the acceptance that their minds are going to comment on everything that happens, but that they don't have to respond, and that they're just thoughts. And we teach a variety of techniques to help people understand how their minds work, and how to accept that their minds work in the way that they do, and so that the ups and downs don't become exaggerated from 1x normal ups and downs to 10x exaggerated ups and downs.
yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I'm not there yet. I'm still learning about these human, how do you call it? Yeah, I mean those neuroscientists that I'm still learning about,
Yes,
because there are a lot to learn, you know. The more you know,
yes.
the less you know actually. So
Oh, yes. I have a lot to learn too. There's always more to learn on this subject.
and it's like going to rabbit holes. Like the more I know, I'm like, oh, that's why I act that way or something. I'm like, okay, I get the aha moment every
Yes,
time.
yes. Yeah, me too.
I came across that many people having these two types of issue that I came across regarding to operation system that I'm dealing with on daily basis, and also making decision in life in general. One type would be those who always seeking validation. Another type would be
Yes,
those who having self acceptance issue. So they're trying to
yes,
move forward but not aware
yes,
where they are currently. So how do you
yes,
deal with these two types of people? I believe many of
yes,
the audience are one of these two types.
yes. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Um, it's a normal and natural thing for human beings to seek validation. We're a sort of a pack animal kind of a mentality. Going back to cavemen, community is essential to survival, and so and it's still in our bones and our DNA. This need for to feel accepted and to have a place in the community, and the and so that's something that we kind of need to realize and notice and accept. I think that the need for community is something that's wired right into us as human beings. um, where we get into trouble, of course, is where we become overly dependent, as you say, and need validation at a level that where there is not enough validation. I mean, it's very much like addiction.
Mm,
I do a lot of work in the area, especially in mental health with addiction, and um, it's the sort of thing that getting feedback from your community, let's say, or as an entrepreneur, getting feedback from your customers that's positive and reassuring, um, is positive. But when we become to depend on it for our own identity, for our own confidence, etc., is very much like drug addiction. And we begin to think in terms of, I need to have, in order to feel good about myself, and sometimes in order for me to pursue or to continue to pursue goals in my business, I need to get validation somehow from from my customers, potentially from a spouse or significant other, but outside validation. And the problem with that, very much like, let's say, heroin addiction, is that at first it's very effective and it helps you feel better. But pretty soon you need more and more. And ultimately, you can't get enough. It's a black hole. And no matter how much validation you may get, if you're dependent on outside validation, you're always going to be frustrated, and you're never going to feel the validation that you, or the confidence that you felt initially. So a lot of what I work on with my clients in that area is just to remember, and to kind of regain a balance and a center of gravity, that you are in yourself. You have good judgment, you have good skills and talents, and you really are capable of knowing in your heart whether what you're doing is valid or not. And it certainly helps when you're building a business to pay attention to what your customers say, obviously, and we want as much of that kind of feedback as we can. But we also at some point have to be willing to accept that we're not going to please everybody, and that it's not necessary to please everybody, and that pleasing people isn't in itself the objective. In that sense, I mean, certainly in our businesses, we want to move the needle for our customers, but it doesn't affect who we are as people. And so, anyway, so that's the sort of the validation issue that I see sometimes. It becomes paralyzing, and because there simply isn't enough validation ultimately in the world. So people have to, what we help them do is to find a center of gravity, so that they can make decisions and realize they can make anything happen that they want to happen. Going back to our original conversation, it's just a question of being reminded that that's possible.
Yeah, I think my mentors keep reminding me these days, because I just passed all the traumatized year as well, and I understand what you say. Like, whatever happened, you can able to still standing on your 2 feet and moving forward. Like, I have to
Yes.
keep reminding myself that. It'll just make me shiver in saying that. Like, I have to find my stone that I could always come back and feel peaceful every time. That, like, other things that uncontrollable, like outside my control, because I used to be like a control freak somehow.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I understand, like totally understand what you say, and I believe that when people able to give this exercise and being better and better every single day, they will feel more. They will be able to find more joyful moment in their life, and like feeling more
Hmm.
happiness working in their business, even in their business. Like, they have to do the work, but also
Yes.
able to figure it out how can they work on the business further, so they can have more freedom and do what they love further, right?
Yes. Yes. And a lot of what we work on in our programs is to help people discover, or usually rediscover, what their values are, um, that are distinct from what the world may or may not tell them, right? I mean, again, we have to listen to customers if we want to run a business, no question about that. But in terms of how we live our lives, it's really important to understand what our personal values are, um, because it's possible, despite the ups and downs of life, whether in business or in every other area of it, it's still always possible for us to live according to our values.
Mm-hmm.
And and it's possible as a result, and in fact it may be the only place possible, um, for us to find real meaning and real joy in our lives, because there will be ups or downs, whether you're Warren Buffett or Bill Gates or whoever. There will always be ups and downs anyway. The one thing that we can control is our behavior and our attitude, and the guardrails are our values. So what makes life to us? What do we want to be remembered for? What do we want to be known for, whether in good times or in bad times? What is what are the qualities that we want to express in everything we do? What kind of an experience do we want to give other people when we're with them, particularly with our customers and our clients? Those things we can control. We can't necessarily control the response of other people, but we can control our intention and we can live against that. And that's, to me, that's sort of in our program, that's two things. One is the acceptance that we can only control what's within our own hula hoop, as they say, right? We can't control anything else besides our own actions and our own attitudes. We can't control the results, and we're silly to try. We will try to do our very best, of course, but we can't, once we've done the thing, we can't control the outcome. So, it really does come back to, especially people who are in burnout. One of the main techniques that we use is to ask people to return to their own values, to either rediscover them or discover them for the first time, and to see how closely they're living on a day-to-day basis according to their own personal values. Because that is where meaning and joy can happen, even in the middle of COVID, even in the middle of economic hardship or temporary downs in our businesses. We can still continue to find meaning and fulfillment and joy in being the people that we want to be.
That's how you playing it big, right? It's the book's name, everyone. So check it out in the description. That's I think that is the chapter number 8, living with big legacy. That's like,
yes,
how you're gonna
right,
grow with legacy. Yeah.
Right. And we're always leaving a legacy, right? I mean, every day we're leaving a legacy, even if it's just a legacy of yesterday. Did we today, did we live according to our values? Did we care about people the way that we want to care about them? Were we the people that we want to be? The only time you can leave a legacy is right now, and everything counts. So, and also the only time you can be happy is right now. So, it's sometimes we think about legacy in terms of after I'm gone or what it says on the tombstone. Sometimes a good exercise, but really it's about, what did I do today?
Yeah, that's a good mind-provoking thought of the day. Thank you.
Sure.
What about another type of people who like further too far and not living in the now instead? Like we were talking about those who stuck in the past and also wanting in that thinking loop and rabbit holes. What about those who futuristic?
Yes. Yeah, it's so true. I mean, I find that the problems that I create for myself and that my clients create for themselves are typically thinking about the past or the future. And it isn't that these reference points might not be useful in your life to draw upon your own experience or based on your to try to forecast the future. But ultimately, the only time we can live our lives and run a business is right this minute. And we really can't know for certain what is going to happen in the future. And at a certain point, an obsession with the future can lead to paralysis. We certainly want to take a look at it. We're trying to plan for the future, of course. One of the best models for future thinking that I've ever seen is the United States Marine Corps leadership training model. And what they teach, it's a very robust, complex program. But the main theme of it is to seek 75% clarity. That's the best you can get.
75. Okay.
Yeah, and don't try to reach 95% certainty or certainly not 100% certainty, because number one, it's not possible. And number two, it's the pursuit of it takes so much time that the data you do have is getting old. And the more old it gets, the more inaccurate it is. So their philosophy is if you're going to take a hill or go on any mission of any kind, the objective is to get 75% of the information and take action and then reevaluate as you go. But that you don't, so what their philosophy is B minus is perfect. And the idea is that you just take the best information you have available right now, act on that, and by taking action, you'll get clearer and clearer and more current data. But if you wait until you have 95% clarity, if that's even possible, or 95% certainty, it will take a lot of time. Your data will get old, and you'll lose a lot of time in terms of achieving your goal. I think that really makes sense in business, that we just take our best shot today, and sometimes we make up that we only get one shot at it, that we won't be able to adjust for the response our customers have for us, for example, to our projects or our services. But we can always pivot. We can do micro pivots all along the way. And so that's what I say to people who are just really wanting a level of certainty by staying fixated in the future, is that it can be paralyzing, because we cannot know the future, and we have to accept that. And secondly, the only way to get solid, real information is to take action.
Yeah, there's no other way.
No. And the same way about the past, I mean, a lot of neuroscience says that, first of all, that our understanding of the past is very distorted. That if you get 5 people looking at a past event, and they write down what their experience is, all 5 people will report something different. So the idea that there is an objectifiable, that what we know is absolutely true about the past or the future, isn't true. We simply can't, we don't remember the past as it necessarily really happened. And also, as time goes by, the distortion becomes bigger. So, not only can we not change the past, but what we think of as the past may not be accurate anyway. So, the main thing that I work on with my clients is just acknowledging or accepting the fact that really right now is the only thing we really have. And right now is the only time we can succeed in business. Right now is the only time we can take action. And right now is the only time we can be happy.
Yeah, 100%. Wow, this is such a joyful conversation that we have today. So in case anyone wants to work with you or follow you, where can they reach out to you then?
The best place is my website, which is doubledareyou.us, doubledareyou.us. And if you'll come to my site, there's opportunities for a lot of free information, even a free consultation with me. There's information about our burnout program, executive burnout program called Extinguishing Burnout. You can take an executive burnout assessment and find out how you're doing at this moment and what the areas are that will help for you to work on. But doubledareyou.us, that's the place to go.
And anyone who listens to this and want to follow the show notes, you can check at helpyougetunstuck.com as well. Thank you so much, Scott.
Rotita, thanks so much. It's great to meet you, and I appreciate your time.
Same here, likewise.
Hey, thank you for watching this episode. If you enjoyed the show, you can subscribe here or here. And this is the previous episode. Check it out. See you next time.